have to address stigma. The reality is that it keeps people from getting tested. I feel like we should talk about it at the Thanksgiving table. HIV is not a solved problem, far from it. ViiV Healthcare is the only company that is 100% focused on development of medicines for HIV treatment and prevention. And what we try to do is be very connected to the community so that we're responding to what they tell us they want.
What is needed to end the HIV epidemic?
I've always talked about 5 things. I'd probably say I may add a 6th. First, everybody needs to be tested so they know their status. And so if you're living with HIV, then you need to be on treatment, because being on treatment means that you can live a normal lifespan. And if you're taking your medicines and your virus is suppressed, you don't transmit to sexual partners. If you test negative and you have vulnerabilities, you may be in a location, a region where HIV is more prevalent, or you may be a part of a community where HIV is more prevalent, then you might benefit from being on PrEP. So we need to get everybody who could benefit from PrEP on PrEP. And then we have to address stigma. The reality is that it keeps people from getting tested. It keeps people that are living with HIV from going to the clinic and getting on treatment. It keeps people from starting PrEP. And so stigma has to be addressed. And then number 5 on that list is access. We have to make sure everybody has access to medicines regardless of their insurance status, their financial status. We need to make sure everybody's on treatment. And then where I would go with number 6 is that for people who are living with HIV, no matter how good the medicines are, if you ask them what they want, they tell you they want a cure. And so number 6 is really continue to work on HIV remission and cure. That's what we need to do to get to the end of the epidemic from a public health standpoint, all those number 1 through 5, and then to address that issue for people who are living with HIV is work towards a cure. We also, have a lab in Connecticut that is a discovery lab that is really looking at every possible way that we can target HIV in a way to get rid of it. So, we're doing a lot, but we're not the only ones. I mean, all of the pharmaceutical companies that do work in HIV are working on cure, and there are a lot of academic institutions that are working on HIV cure. And so we all work together, academic, pharma, universities, all of those folks working together to try to get at a cure.
And what gives you hope that we can get to the end of the HIV epidemic?
The innovation in HIV has been tremendous. It makes it so that what was hard before is easier, and then there has been great progress. So, there are roughly 41 million people in the world that are living with HIV. Somewhere around 29 or 30 million of those people are on treatment. So that means a quarter of them are not.
It's a large gap you need to
Exactly.
close.
So we've got to address that gap, make sure that we get to those people who aren't on treatment. But what gives me hope is the fact that we've been able to ramp it up in that pace.
Right.
Our company has made a commitment to making our medicines available regardless of people's ability to pay around the world. Our mission is to leave no person living with HIV behind. And our commitment is to make our innovation available to people. And so getting at that access part. So what gives me hope is the innovation can move us forward even further.
Some would say in the U.S., HIV is a solved problem. What's your reaction to that?
HIV is not a solved problem. Far from it. There are more than 30,000 new infections every year. And there are more than 1.2 million people in the U.S. that are living with HIV. The reality is if we stop talking about it and we stop educating about it and we don't, talk about it to young folks, then we will not get to the end of this epidemic because people will be, cavalier and not do the things that they need to protect themselves, do the things like get tested and go on PrEP if they could benefit from it, and go on treatment if they need it. And so it's really important that we talk about it. And I feel like we should talk about it at the Thanksgiving table. I mean, we should talk about it and make it a casual conversation, normalize the fact that there's people living with HIV, but they get to live a normal life, and they can be on medicines, and they can have sexual partners and not transmit to their sexual partners. And so I would encourage people to just keep being educated and talk about it so that we can get to the end of this epidemic.
Absolutely. Well, Dr. Smith, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me today.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you for having me.